Good morning, YouTube. My name is Emery Dudensing. I'm a cotton and wheat farmer here in Texas. We call this the Rolling Plains region, kind of west central Texas. And we're the last place in the country to strip cotton. And we're not even really that close to being able to do that. We are wet. We've got 2 inches about 2 weeks ago. We got another inch a week after that. And so today is a Monday, and I can't remember when it rained before, but it's still wet. I mean, can you see the water? Just so you know, I'm a truth teller here. It is wet. So what's that gonna look like? Well, it's gonna stay wet for a while because it is cooler temperatures. You know, see I'm wearing a hoodie. But not cold enough to freeze the cotton. We're still in the 40s sometimes at night, but sometimes we're not. We get up into mid 70s, up into 80s this week, it looks like. So it will take longer for this to dry out, but I think that the cotton is probably done on what it's going to do maturity-wise. And so I need to get out there and probably defoliate some. When's it going to freeze? No one knows. Is the cotton going to be any good? No one knows. I think it's going to be all right in some places, but I just don't know. So when it dries out, I think we'll spray some. But before then, got to keep getting stuff ready. The stripper that has been a project for lots of days is slowly ending. If you're new to this channel, I bought this cotton stripper, the 7460. My dad has a identical year model, but an older year model. This is a 7-year newer. So they just don't make these anymore. They make the round bale strippers that cost lots of dollars, and these are a lot less dollars. And so I bought this at an auction this spring, and my dad and I have been working on it, getting it going, switched to my row pattern. We do things a little bit differently around here. We're on 32-inch rows compared to 40, which most people are 40-inch rows around here. And we dump straight into a module builder. Most people have a bull buggy, but it just doesn't make sense to us. I just recently bought a second module builder, so we can run 2 strippers, 2 module builders, both with auto packing systems, so that the two of us can run harvest. And I'm excited to try to be able to do that this year. But it's been a project. It's gone well, but there's just been some hiccups. This crankshaft seal, you know about, it is finally fixed. Just go back and look. I told myself we put it in backwards twice. And so we did it right this time. But you know, how are we supposed to know? We're just farmers trying to play mechanic. But it mostly is good. I just got to put together a few things that I have apart still on the cleaner. There was a simple thing to do last week: calibrate the header, which sets some parameters for the computer to know what what's the word I'm looking for? The header, how it should respond to the conditions. So let me show you some electrical of what we've got on a row unit. So we've got this connection here. This activates this individual unit to go up. This is the kind of the solenoid that does that. This is the height sensor. It is tied to some shoes at the bottom. Let me just show you that. So this on the side has linkage that goes down to these right here. And when these move up, that tells the computer that, hey, there is something, we're hitting something here. And so it'll make this thing kind of float up and avoid that thing. So that is an issue, or is a thing. And so what happened first, this row unit was stuck up. It would not go, when I was calibrating it, it would stuck up. So see this rod, the sensor's on the other side of that rod. And so that sensor was bad on this one. So replace that fixed it. And then we were getting more issues. We were getting issues where we kind of put the header all the way to the ground, set a parameter, raise it up, set a parameter. Well, I could never get to that up part because I keep getting an error 81. When I said I was low voltage on row unit 8. Well, I can't really count to show you, but I have 7 row units, so I don't have an 8. In the computer up there, I can choose between 4, 5, 6, and 8. It skips 7 because I guess no one else does 7. We're just the weird guys. And so that was, A lot of troubleshooting, changing things, just trial and error, calling people that are way smarter than us. We discovered that the computer thinks there's an 8 because you could choose 6 or 8. So we choose 6. The first 6 would work great, and the 7th one would not activate because the computer didn't recognize there was a 7th. So then we go to 8, and it would not. We'd get this error message on 81, 8 row unit voltage issue. And so what we found out, it was not this. It wasn't this part. It was the height sensor, because we have this. We have this harness. This harness is just extra stuff, and it goes out if I had an 8. And so this place where this is where the sensor would plug in, there was no voltage, obviously, because I had nothing plugged in. And so we had to trick the system into thinking there was an 8 row unit. And so that's what you see right here is this is where the 8th row sensor comes in, should come in, but we just tied in to this 7 row sensor. And so that was soldered. I haven't put this together yet. So what's going to happen, the computer's going to get readings from 7 and run it through 8. And so it tricks it to think there's 8 units here. That was our workaround. It worked. Dad, I just wired this together because I had to get going, but we wanted to test it. So that worked. I'm going to fix that up here. So now it works. What should be a 5-minute job to calibrate the header took a lot more than 5 minutes, not 5 days, but multiple days. And so that is done. I'm going to inspect the solid drums, adjust the brushes and bars in there. I'll show you that later. And then this part will be done. The crankshaft is not leaking anymore. I think we're good. Got to get Dad's stripper out and go look over his saws and belts and change oil. I think the engine oil needs to be changed. And hopefully his will be ready pretty soon. The grain drill should be mostly ready to go. Just need to we're not ready there yet, but it will have to be done because after we strip, we will plant wheat. So it will need to be gone over, but I think that should be pretty quick. I'm continuing to work on the module builder, getting parts for that, and I'll show you that. And so we can have it and both of them ready to go. So just getting things wrapped up slowly, real slow sometimes, but slowly getting them done. So I'm going to take these off because I know it works. And I'm going to do a better connection on these. It's not a wire nut. I have these little solder sleeves. You put the wires between there, then you heat that up, and this middle part is actually solder, and it will make a gooder connection. That's what I was trying to say. Can you believe that? Gooder, better. And so I have some like these that are crimps, but I like these solder ones because, well, they solder, they melt. Solder's a weird word. S-O-L-D-E-R, right? But you don't say it like solder. Maybe you do in other parts of the country, but here in Texas, we don't. Here we go. Come on now. All right. So this, I want to decide how much extra. I think I'm going to cut off some of this extra stuff so it's not as long. Maybe somewhere in here. Risky, maybe. Thing about cutting is once you do it, you can't undo it. So let's try this. Cut. Now I gotta strip some wires. All right. So the way these work, you slide. May have to get the bigger size on these. Slide this all the way. Maybe. Okay, we'll try this side. Goes on that way, but not far enough. See, I just can't get to slide through, so I think I'm gonna have to go to the bigger size. I'll be back. All right, so I got them all placed where they need to be. So I'll use this heat gun right here, and it'll melt the plastic ends here, and that'll keep it watertight, and then it'll also melt this solder and make a permanent connection. And I'll be in business. Okay, I'm back. This is bigger. See, what I was trying to say is you slide it past, just like that. And then you wrap these wires around each other. Ouch, ouch. Without poking yourself. Dang. And you just do that every time. So we didn't have any 3-wire like we needed, so we had to improvise. Because this pigtail, we cut off an old sensor, that bad sensor that was over on that other height sensing unit. I cut it off because it had that connector, and so we needed 3-wire. We had a 2-wire and another 2-wire, so we just split that apart. So now we can just brown and blue go together. Because obviously. Alright, so that one will work. And then now black. Don't forget to slide on these connectors before you start. This black wire is a lot thicker than this other black wire. This single over here on my right hand. So Alright, I'm going to test it now, although it should just work like it always did. I just tied up the wires, so we'll find out. right, so first thing you do, header's all the way up, you got to press this button, raises up all the individual units and let them back down. That's a good sign. So now I'm going to go through and press all these buttons, and each unit should, first let me put these back to somewhere normal. Each button should cause that to happen. That seems to be good. The other thing that we were a little bit concerned about is if when I turned on the row units, what was going to happen with the error messages up there. So I'm going to get a lot of beeps here because I don't have the saw or the fan going. But I don't know if I'm going to get an error for 8 because 8's not connected. So I'm going to try that next. Doesn't like it. It wants me to turn the saw and the fan on. So that's normal, but all's good. I'm not getting an error on 8, which is good. So that's what I wanted to see. All right, there's my little pigtail. Got it covered with this little corrugated stuff. All protected there. Plugged back in. I think it's all good. All right. Okay, I want to show you another thing that we did, but I don't think I showed you is I had this angle iron. Sorry it's dark, but got this all notched and welded all the way across. We had some wear spots on this bottom of this tubing, so that's just really a wear guard. Haven't decided if I'm going to paint that yet because it's just going to rub and look rusted anyways, but it's good. Lots of notching, but take good measurements and it works. Well, it's been a minute, and by a minute it's been multiple minutes, but I set the camera down. We were just working on stuff. I got some parts in for module builder. I was going to show you. Oil filter, we're going to change the oil on that once it's drier. I ended up getting a new gauge, sight gauge, because the other one was leaking. But we think we got the other one fixed because the bolt on the nut on the inside of the one that's on the builder was missing. So we found an extra nut. The other one's probably in the bottom of the tank. We'll get it out when we drain the oil. Got some new seals for the leaking PTO shaft. We'll do that once we do that. I got some, there's a missing button on the automatic system. So the guy that sells the systems doesn't do the whole thing, but he sells the parts. So I got a couple parts from him. That was one of them. The other is, where is it? Oh, it's right behind me. So this is a sensor that will shut the system off if the tank pressure gets low. This is a float, and it's just basically an on-off switch. And so if the fluid drops, this will hit that bottom, there's a bottom key there, and it'll turn off the system so we won't shell the pump and it's a good thing to have. And this one didn't have it. Dad added it to his. And so when we got it, there was a wire was crimped, and we actually had one wire completely broken. So this is interesting looking, I know, but we had to fix it, and we had this much distance from the top of the sensor to where it was broken. So that was fun. But we got it spliced, and this is just trying to keep some water or anything that could get in there out. So that we'll put on. I'll have to drill a hole in the top of the tank and then weld. This is the other piece. This little coupler here. Weld this piece to the tank so that sensor can thread in, and we'll have a safety stop. So I got those parts from the module guy. Danny Cadell's his name. Appreciate it, Danny. And so I think we'll be ready to do all that once we can get that oil drain. It's a little too wet around the yard. I need to unhook the 8130 from the sprayer, even though I'll still probably need the sprayer to spray cotton unless it comes to freeze soon before I can do that. I need to unhook it to hook it to the builder so that we can get the oil drained, and then get it over here closer to the barn so that we can drill a hole, weld the coupler, get all that wired up, and a couple other odds and ends things I need to do to it, and then that builder will be ready. So, you know, we're just trucking along. I'm gonna try to do some painting on this stripper where there was maybe a basket fire or something. Just mostly pretty stuff, you know, just making things look good before it gets real dirty. I think that's all. That's what we were doing. Mostly just working on this, and I did finish up some wiring stuff on the builder. So before I go home, it's after lunch, but I've got an early day today because of our Bible study. I'm going to add on to my air compressed air system. So I bought this setup. Actually, it was this hose. I bought this little thing. I had this coupler already. I bought this elbow, and I bought this T, and I have this hose. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut in right there where the air goes to the reel. I'm going to cut right there and put the T and bring my air around. And somewhere up here, probably right around where that bracing is, I'm going to probably zip tie that elbow, and then I'll have my coiled hose probably hanging here if that's not in the way too much. But then I'll always have easy access. I'll just be able to just grab, have easy access, because we just spent a lot of time here with a hose instead of having to bring the big honking one over here. Even though that's not far, but it'd just be nice to have another drop right here. So where to cut this? That is a great question. Somewhere right here. This looks like a good spot. Oh, that's like perfect. Wait till you see that. Make sure I get that on there. That felt a little looser than I anticipated. Hopefully they sent me the right stuff. That one is good. Just need to tighten this one. Need some hose now. Run around to this spot from my spool, so I need to go do that. Okay, got my hose routed. This new hose fits a lot tighter in this on these hose barbs. Not surprising. All right, I am up here in a little bit of a precarious spot, and I don't really like that leaning right there, but I don't know if I have much of a choice if that's where I want it to come down. So interesting. I could come down one of these slots, like this one or that one. Maybe I'll do that. But I'm a little stuck, so I got to get down and get my cutter. Before I cut that, I'm going to go ahead and get this fitting, get off me, put together, because why? because sometimes I have ADD about things. Got this put together. I think I'm going to cut this like right here at that edge. That makes sense to me. You can't appreciate the athleticism that I'm displaying right now. So I picked the worst hose clamp. I think that accomplishes what I would like for it to accomplish. Let me turn the air on. Okay, nothing blew up. It works like it should. Good deal. I mean, guess I'm gonna leave it hanging there for now until I've come up with a better solution on how I want that to go without, it's just gonna stretch out, I know. But my thought is I could at least get to here. I don't know if I'll be able to get to the drill press or not. Probably won't. Kind of. And then back to the middle. All right. That project was pretty quick. I mean, it's not perfect. It's not exactly where I'd like it to be. That's kind of weird, but maybe that works. Just grab it. So maybe that's where I keep it, but anyways. I'm going home for lunch. I'll probably just see you tomorrow because I've got stuff, Bible study, all that stuff. So let's see you tomorrow.